Filthy Show has extremely explicit content. It is not intended for children, adults, or anyone, really. Especially retards without a sense of humor. If you offend easily, please fuck off now. All right, welcome to The Filthy Show. As always, I'm your host, Adam Luckey. This is my host, co-host. What nickname are we on now? Rape Monster? Rape Monster McChris?
I don't really like that one as much, but sure.
Yeah, but you wear it. You have resting. I do bad stuff to kids and then stuff them in duffel bag face.
We're still on the stuffing kids in bags thing.
Yeah, so last episode he was talking about how he stuffs kids in trash bags, which I said maybe one or two tops you're getting in there before it starts to rip. You got to go thick material if you're going to put kids in bags.
Well, you're going bigger kids. I always go the young.
Yeah.
Because you can get more.
That's just because you're lazy and you don't want to shove a big kid in a trash bag.
Mm-hmm.
They fight back.
Big kids kick. Yeah. Big kids kick. My dad always told me that. That's why he stopped touching me.
A little 4 months, I ain't doing shit.
All right, our guest today, a good friend of ours, someone we've known for a long time, actually did the first ever episode of the Filthy Show podcast. We got Jamie Kilstein today.
Hey guys, I'm very proud of you. You have you've upgraded. You have real chairs.
Yeah, we have chairs. We're not on a couch in the back of a lobby.
They curtained off part of the lobby for that. I mean, the first big bit was about. Which I love that you're like, oh, we're still doing that. Was about fucking retarded people. And because there was no sound insulation, Clay, who was just working the door.
Yeah, just a security guard.
Just walked in and was like, you rang? Like it was like the fucking bat
you can
signal.
Fuck retarded people. It's not illegal. No one comes for you.
It's so
and then
fast.
There was just a pause and I was waiting for him to be like, right? Right? So this is awesome. This is so great.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with any of this. They decided to make a podcast studio back here. And when we first started in it, it was basically just a blue room.
Yeah.
That's all it really was. And then they have this whole setup now. Justin is our new producer. Because our last producer still haven't heard from the guy.
We are talking about that. I was wondering.
Well, we've talked about it a lot. We actually...
Can we mention that I didn't know because I haven't been doing stand-up for the last couple months, and you dropped it like it was the edgiest of all jokes.
Yeah, I was like, hey, by the way, Nick's not coming today, and you were like, all right.
I was like, oh, that sweet kid I remember that's definitely alive. And then I found out, and now I've been sad for the last 15 minutes waiting to go on air.
That's great, getting to tell someone in a joke.
Right.
That's the one you really like.
In the explanation of a joke that didn't work.
Yeah, the joke didn't even tell you. The joke just made you confused.
No.
And then
yeah, that's like if you're on stage and you do like a race joke and you have to pause and be like, it's funny because I'm a racist.
When I said you people, I meant black people. Because they're gross.
Yeah. Because he's dead. And I was like, that's how I found out the news.
Yeah.
In the explanation of a dying joke.
Because he killed himself.
Yep.
We did an episode with him the week before he did it. I'm not saying that was the cause. It wasn't our best episode.
There are so many correlations leading back to Adam.
I got to stop talking about it. I booked him on a show the day before.
This
I
also
on my podcast. I called him and told him that no one loved him.
Right.
But I did that every night.
You know what would be the only funny thing you could do? Kill yourself. He's like, Roger.
In my defense, he sold out the creek like 2 days later with his memorial. Oh, he wasn't doing that before he killed himself. That's all I'm saying. It was this big a show.
It's like it's the Mitch Hedberg syndrome. You get famous after, you're like, well, at least my albums will go down in infamy, even though no one fucking respected me. Do you know, I've heard so many stories, every club owner that's like, oh, I'm a Hedberg guy, like Hedberg or whatever, we're firing him.
Oh, he was of course.
Fucking bombing. He was bombing at like all the like cool kid clubs like we know about. He was, people were talking, they were walking out because he was that character. So he would like stand like against the brick wall, like far away from the audience, kind of look down, do his jokes, and people were like, what the fuck was this?
Oh yeah.
And now everyone's like, the Dufresnes. It's like, oh, you killed him 100%.
But that's how comedy is. Like whenever someone kills himself, some people are like, mental illness, man, it's something we all got to like think about. And then we're also like, Jerry's a fucking loser and his bits suck and he thinks we think he's funny, but he's fucking an idiot. And tell him I said that. I don't give a shit. He's stupid.
I'm wearing a ribbon in honor of our fallen brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's just the like hypocrisy in general, especially when you get to like the industry level, where I remember just talking about club owners who loved Mitch Hedberg, quote unquote, and fired him. I'm thinking about, I did a small room in Arizona a couple years ago And he was like, hey man, can you like, we were backstage. It was a really nice green room. It was a cool club. And he's like, hey, can you just like tone the language down a bit? And in the green room, it was only pictures of Hicks, Carlin, and Pryor. Yeah. And I was like, cool. If you say you're a liar, like if you take down these pictures, I will happily not curse. But like, how do you have an ode to fucking Bill Hicks? Yeah. And then you're like, can you talk less about drugs and sex? And fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I've never really, because I don't have as big of a taste of it as you do, but just the small amount of contact I've had with like industry, where like people who don't do comedy but are very much involved in comedy. Yeah, it's a hard relationship to have because they think they know everything, right? Because that's their job and all they do is watch it. But it's like, yeah, I do that too, but then I also do it. Yeah, I mean, like I'm also doing it as well.
When you find the industry people who are like true comedy fans, like Rebecca here, like it's treasure that. You know what I mean? Because it's so rare. Because the majority of people are like, well, I bet it's even worse now. Trust me, I haven't had an industry meeting in a very long time. But like back in the day, it was bad enough because it was like people who weren't good enough or brave enough to do comedy, who lived in LA and wanted to work in the industry and be around famous people, or use comedians who were using comedy as a stepping stone to be like an actor or get a sitcom or whatever. But now comedy is actually fucking popular. Yeah. So now it's probably even worse, where it's just like a ton of bros who are just like, I want to be an agent so I can get comped to the mothership.
Probably. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I work at the mothership and I've met like at least 10 people who are exactly like that.
And they're like from UTA.
Right. Yeah, my dad makes millions of dollars, so now I book really good shows because I can afford to pay comics $800 a show. Yeah. So I'm cool now, and I know Joe Rogan's. Sure. I'm here.
Yeah, so that's fun. I mean, it's so hard because there's like something glorious about for me, like rock bottoming and just being like, oh, if I do comedy, it is strictly because like, fuck, I guess I love it. Yeah. I don't want to, but like, I guess I do. And just that phase, like if you're a comic listening to that phase of like between like year 1 and 6, where you're not good and you just fucking love it.
Oh, it's the best
and you're
part.
Just staying around it. You're not bitter. You're not sitting in the back, not laughing because that dude got a fucking festival slot. You didn't. You're just like quoting jokes and old Simpsons and smoking cigarettes.
And every step feels amazing. Yeah. Like a bar show. Wait, now I'm doing a guest spot at a comedy club where people actually came to see a show.
Dude.
It's like, that's insane.
The first time you walk into a sold out club and you're just like, do I run away or is this like the greatest day of my life? You just see so many.
And I get to do 5 minutes for these people. Like, this is the top.
I mean, I still, when I'll like open for bigger comics and walk into like a sold out room, I still get that like new comic energy, especially opening. Yeah. Like that's really exciting too. Like I want a headline. Like I just like, let me feature right now and just fucking fall in love with it again. But like when you're featuring or like you walk into that sold out room, they're like, they're not there because of you.
No,
and you just get to go up and just tell jokes.
Such low feature, I think, is the lowest pressure position on the show.
It's the best spot.
Because you don't have to cold open. You don't have to like build the energy up. No. You just have to go up there and have fun basically and just.
That's it.
Even if you bomb, it's not that big of a deal. Like as a feature,
the headliner will get out of it.
Bring it back. Yeah.
Well, and then you also
take a lot of risks.
Yeah, you get to be like, don't worry, Duncan Trussell's coming up soon, and then they go, yay, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna try one more time to get him back. Yeah, but yeah, man, like that spot, and then once you like, it's like jujitsu, where it's like it's almost worse once you know stuff because you're like, I know how to get out of this, and I'm fucking getting strangled.
Yeah, and I have the tools and I can't use any of them.
And that's comedy. Like once you get to that like feature, you're like, oh, I know that I should be better, or I know that, and I still like can't.
Yeah, I'm not like a vet or anything. I'm about to hit 8 years. So that's like good. I'm kind of getting into the point where I'm not like the baby anymore. Yeah, still a baby in the eyes of most like career comedians, but 8-year comic now and what it was 10 years ago is very different.
How so?
Well, it's
because 8 was the year that I heard, like when I asked all the big comics like Louis and Chappelle, like all the guys when I started in New York who were like famous and like Attell, they would always say like the magical number for when you start getting good or like finding your voice, they would say, is between 8 and 10 years.
Well, I think all that's the same. That hasn't changed. But what I mean is like, and I'm just saying this from what I've heard and what I've seen, But years ago, 8 to 10 is kind of when people start respecting you more. You have a better chance to maybe start like.
You're like, I'm just saying I'm not respected. That's all that's changed.
No, well, basically, like, that's when you kind of start becoming more of a comedian. Whereas now, as an 8-year comedian myself, there's a lot of people who are making it who are 4 years younger than me. They kind of look at me like, yeah, you kind of missed your boat, didn't you? And I'm like, no.
There's people 1 year into comedy and they have like 500 grand Instagram followers and they're still like.
Well, not even just Instagram followers, legitimate comedy careers. I mean, people like 2 years in, 4 years in, 7 years in, doing complete comedy like tours,
but do you
just
think
because of social media?
Do you think they're gonna last though? Because I remember when I was headlining. When I was headlining, and don't get me wrong, I was failing. Adam opened for a weekend for me.
I did worse.
You did.
I did worse than you every time.
Yeah, so but numbers wise, I feel like I had good shows, but I was just like, I finally get to bring openers on the road, and I was just apologizing to Adam and Heather Shaw the entire time.
We had fun. We went to Six Flags. You should have came with us.
I know, I fucked that up. I was depressed.
Six Flags with Heather Shaw is really fun.
That's gotta be.
Yeah, people let you cut in line.
You didn't go to Six Flags with them?
No, I was super depressed.
Yeah, Six Flags would have changed that. What are you doing?
It changed it for us, but then leaving. The come down, the Six Flags come down.
The come down to come to the fucking.
Have to go do a show for 12 people.
Well, but do you remember what happened? This actually ties into the conversation perfectly. What happened was like all the staff who were like trying to be nice, they were like, yeah, man, it's really weird because like Danny and Danny, like I forget what their name was, but some TikTok duo came the Wednesday before and just sold it out.
That's fucking ridiculous.
And I remember I heard about that on our way and I was driving up and I was like, fuck these fucking TikTok pieces of shit, blah, blah, blah. And then one of them was at the hotel lobby and they were like, Jamie Kilstein, man, I grew up watching your comedy. And I'm like, they're good guys.
Yeah, they like you. Well, they like me, so they must be okay.
So bad.
Like, grew up watching your comedy. Sold out show, faggot. What are you doing?
There's two of us. You're all alone.
You're not even at Six Flags, pussy.
All we do is go to Walmart and go, in people's ears.
A billion views.
Out. Yeah. I fart in cups.
But the what I'm wondering is back in the day when like the whole TikTok phenomenon was starting, and like Luis Gomez was like getting into Twitter wars with like that like hot chick who sells out comedy clubs. I forget her name.
Oh yeah, what is that girl's name?
The whole sort of like you'd hear it's like they would sell out once, they would be terrible because they're not comics, and they were like, I'm just gonna show up and fucking.
But I think people are getting more accustomed to that now. Like people are getting to the point where so many people just love these social media comedians that now in their heads, the standard of comedy is what those people can bring to the table.
Oof.
And it's because.
And then seeing a real comic almost like horrifies.
Yeah,
them,
well,
probably.
then they're almost like, what are you doing? Like, why are you up there just like trying to be really funny and like talk about sensitive topics?
Why aren't you talking to me?
Why aren't you referencing the fun TikTok you made where you're like, this is cowboys at a country bar. Right. Anybody know where I parked my horse? They're like, oh, fuck.
Dude.
That's good.
I played, I think it's called Skyline, which back in the day, people used to say was one of the best clubs.
We know Skyline because the club we started at, the Tacoma Comedy Club, they own it now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
So this was before that, I'm sure.
I got fired. For language, which was insane.
How recent was this?
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, so it was them.
Yeah. No, I was opening for someone, and I wonder if it was just like for his audience. I don't know. Anyway, but all the you know how they play like videos of upcoming comedians? They were all just like TikTok sketches.
Yeah, and it'll literally. And I'll say this because at one of their clubs I had to do this. It ended up being a pretty good show, and the guy whose show it was really cool. And he was one of those situations where like 7-8 year comic like had been putting in time and then just blew up on TikTok.
See, that I think is cool.
It's not bad, but it's still like, they're not necessarily ready for that.
Like 6 headline
And I
shows.
think your need to improve kind of settles down a little bit because you're like, now I have to like develop this entire career and like maintain that. Like I'm not that worried about getting better and better now.
Well,
like,
you have to maintain. I think that's the key word because there's this point where not only are you comfortable. I mean, this happened to me in LA. I remember not thinking it would happen. I would hear comics go, you know, you don't want to do new material because you never know who's going to be in the audience. I'm like, not me. I'm from fucking New York. I'm a real comic.
That's coming back now too.
What?
That's the whole like every set, especially in Austin.
Well,
like
now
you don't
Austin's
see people
become-
trying. Yeah, because you never know. Like if you have an 8-minute quirky character set where you're just like, my mom rapes me.
Yep.
But you can say it in a funny voice.
That's your idea of
and you
quirky?
have a weird haircut. Hey, that's me, all right?
My mother raped me.
That's my rendition of it.
And now I'm Mother Rape. And you just tell lullabies.
Yeah. It's a new bit I'm working on.
It's good.
But yeah,
it's a little alt.
That's super valuable. Like, I don't think it's as big of a deal if you have 8 minutes and you're likable and you got like a funny character essence. That's huge.
Austin
right
is that now? Because I remember the moment I was like, oh, that's not good. Is I had a spot at the store and I was going to literally I had like half new stuff and the lineup was like it was insane. It was like Joe and Diaz and like it was Russell Peter. Like it was so good. And I was just like, nope.
Yeah.
Like no fucking way. And I did all my old stuff and I did it kind of like half-ass. So like the first half of the set wasn't even good anyway. And what really surprises me, and this isn't like a judgment thing, this is just like a stop doing it thing, is the comics who do the same set at like every show verbatim and they're like no-name shows. It's like, it's one thing.
Well, like
when
an open mic, basically.
Yeah,
like
when
even that.
When I did fucking a set of Roast Battle for my first like mothership show, I'm like, I am doing the jokes that I know work.
Yeah.
And that's not me being like, you know,
the first time I was on that stage too.
First time I'm on fucking
everything I had.
any stage. Yeah. I know. I'm just like, love me. But man, if you're not throwing at least like 1 or 2 new jokes each set, I'm like, you know, couch this stuff.
Well, how it works at Mothership for us is if you work there, you get Sunday, Monday are the crew shows. So you're getting 5-minute sets guaranteed. As long as you show up there, you're guaranteed to get a set. And maybe you're going up late in the show. Yeah. You're going up like 2 hours into a show with a shit ton of comedians.
Sure.
But you're still getting it. And there are some people, a lot of people obviously are sticking to it and treating it like an open mic, but some people do just go up and do the 5 minutes. That's all that does well. And
it's
they know it does.
Not fun. But
they know that they're doing well every time and that's enough for them.
Well, and that's that maintaining shit that I got stuck in LA, and that, I mean, it's death in any industry where, yeah, you get that fame. And so then suddenly like all of that excited again, like 1 to 5 year, like I'm going to do new shit. I'm going to bring my fucking journal up on stage. All that stuff goes away because you're like, well, I got to just stay level. Yeah. Because I don't want this to get taken away from me. So like, why would you risk doing new jokes or losing that audience or not coming back to that club? And that comes from just straight insecurity. Like for me too, where it's like, oh, you don't think you're good enough. You think you just found that one thing. If people will they're going to discover you're a fraud.
They're going to find out your dad molested you. They're going to find out you come really fast during sex.
Yep.
They're
going to find out you come really fast while being molested, which is like the most embarrassing.
Yeah. They're going to find out the only way you fuck your wife is you hold a vibrator on her pussy and she lets you touch your dick every now and then. You can't touch it the whole time.
No.
And that's every comic. That's nothing specific.
No.
That's no one in this room. That's just,
you better not be touching your dick, Jamie.
Don't touch that dick. I'm not touching my dick.
It's Tuesday. No.
Nope, it's Mama's Day.
Yeah.
But
that's my crew show.
One thing I tell like younger comics, because they're like, you know, what's a thing that happens that's like really significant as you do more and more comedy? Like one thing that really stands out to me is when you go from killing on a show and weeks of your life would just be like thinking about that. And it would like fill you with so much happiness.
Yeah.
To killing on a show and by the time you get into the green room,
you're
all the happiness is gone. You had it for a second. It was there. You felt it as you got off.
Sure.
They when you're like, I'm Adam Luckey or I'm whoever, the fucking clap is huge because they loved you.
When the new joke hits, you're like,
and then as soon as you walk off, you're like, fuck yeah. And then you're like, wait a minute, what? I missed doing this. Why did I say that? That was stupid.
Yeah.
That girl in the front had weird tits. I could have talked about that.
But don't worry, guys. If you're nervous, you will still remember the bad shows for weeks.
Yeah, the bad shows still feel really bad.
Yeah, they'll hit you like a flashback.
Those don't calm down at all.
No, some would say they enhance because there's more pressure now and people expect more of you.
Oh man, I bet I still have this. We talked about this on the podcast a long time ago.
I'm sorry I'm making this like an earnest stand-up episode.
It doesn't matter.
Like September 11th was all faggy retards.
Yeah, we'll get into faggy retard ass eating stuff.
Looking up this video, describe your dick very vividly.
It's a little faggy. It's a little retarded.
Whoa.
So what this is...
I like that.
Thanks, bud.
This is one of the worst sets I've ever had.
Okay.
Was at Spider House Ballroom, which is in like...
That's a weird venue.
Yeah, well,
I've done it once. It was fine.
Oddly enough, up until this point, only had amazing sets there.
Okay.
Like, so I kind of got into my mind, because everyone would be like, yeah, it's not the best room.
And you're like, well, this is where I go to crush.
you can't get a lot of laughs with like more inappropriate shit. And I was like, I guess it's just the luck of the draw. Like the shows I got on happened to be good and the audiences happened to be really cool.
Yeah.
And they picked up on the fact that I'm like satirical and being ironic.
Can we really quick talk about the only, I did a show there. You know when it's like a pass the mic instead of a host, where so every comic introduces the next comic and you try to be nice. And so anytime I haven't seen somebody, I'll be like, this guy's very funny. He's like killing it all over Austin, like tours around. Please welcome, blah, blah, blah. So you're like kind of giving like the seal of approval. And this guy just comes up and goes, hey, who here's a faggot? Looks like all of you. And I was like,
hey, Jamie, it wasn't my best set that. But you gotta admit, I was giving my all. So this guy...
I was giving my all. It was so funny.
I was giving my top tier stuff. Is there a way to put it up here? Because I'll read it from my phone.
Good for you being like, is there a way to make it bigger? My bomb.
I want you guys. No, it's not a video. It's
okay.
So this is worst set I ever had at Spider House. The guy who books the show. Ironically, I have another story where I did a show with this guy where we also had an audience member get really mad. And this is two of the only times this has ever happened in Austin. To me.
So not same venue, but same promoter.
Same promoter, both times, same. But both times this has happened, it's with the guy that books the show.
I don't think I remember what this is.
So this guy sent this message to the booker of the show because I guess he knows that he booked it.
Seeing how long that text is, I got so nervous.
I know instantly. This. Yeah.
All right, so I'll just read it So Spencer, my GF and I paid to attend the comedy event you hosted last night. I liked your stand-up. I'm the guy who works for an education nonprofit in the second row. Oh, that guy? Hold on. Wait a minute. You're that nonprofit guy?
Both education and nonprofit? This guy's going to make me hate both of those things.
Yeah, good for you, man. Of course, we all remember you.
This guy is one of those guys who's like, as a bad person, I feel like I should do a good sounding job so I can continue to laud that over people and be bad.
Oh, yeah. This guy's a stupid fucking retard. Trust me. I'll show you more. He says, I got to say, I was disappointed you let Adam Luckey on stage. Yeah, get in line, buddy.
I also fucking hate, do you remember when I had to like escape you out the back door and drive you to your car because a woman...
I made fun of the Ukrainian woman.
Oh, shit, yeah.
That was good. That was great. That was great.
I told her that she was a coward for leaving, and she was like, my dad's still there fighting. I'm like, yeah, he's cool, but you're gay.
It was nuts. I felt like I had to protect Adam because she started texting other larger
Ukrainian men.
I don't know what the saddest part was, like helping you get out so you don't get hurt or seeing how far you have to park away even when you like are hosting the show. I was like, they don't let him park in the back.
They don't give me
spots. Was like fucking just like East Austin.
Oh, it would have been a long walk.
It was brutal. Yeah, a long just every car slowing down being like, the Ukrainians.
Fuck, not again.
I love the idea, and no offense, Jamie.
Sure.
But these big Ukrainian guys like, we're going to fuck you up and then you step in front. Man. You got to go past me first.
They would be surprised at his scrappiness.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite thing about being a black belt who just looks like a 40-year-old divorced dad. Is it always takes people off guard, which I feel like is one of my advantages. Can I just point out one of the things I hate more than anything?
Yeah.
Is this fucking...
Don't jump up too much,
when people are complaining and it's the fake happy-go-lucky sort of like, I gotta say, like no one writes emails like, hey fella, I was just kicking an idea around the old noggin, and how about you fire that fucking fat comic who made my girlfriend refuse to fuck me?
Sorry, fat. I mean, I'm not. Not skinny.
We're all portly.
He didn't say fat in this. Did he? So I was disappointed you let Adam Luckey on stage at all. At all. Like, even just let me be there. Sure. Like, I wouldn't even want that motherfucker changing out the mic cord.
I don't want him looming in the back.
And didn't intervene or say anything after his set. Why wouldn't you just lambast him after he had one of the worst sets of his entire career? That was the worst comedy set I have ever seen. Memorable. That's memorable.
That is memorable. Also, why wouldn't you this is what cowards do. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sitting there with my girlfriend. I am emasculated. I don't have the guts to do anything, say anything, or ever do comedy or be on stage.
He could have spoke out. He could have spoke out too.
Sure.
And he fucking didn't.
We are not fans of hecklers, but like also like.
It would have made the set better for sure.
And it also would have been far more fucking manly than being like, why didn't this other man who was stronger than me say something to him?
Yeah, for sure. You should have done something. I'm a coward, but you could have done
like, hey, dude, this is inappropriate. Like, think about booking this guy. That's bad enough. But being like, no. For the record, I am a mean-spirited person who would have wanted to watch you tear into this guy with words that I am not capable of producing myself because I'm a fucking nonprofit educator, quote unquote.
Yeah, but I don't have that.
Right. Fuck that.
The guy's 15 minutes of violent jokes about killing and molesting children, killing his own daughter in a laundry machine. Really fun bit, by the way. All right. Hey, here's the thing. He remembered the bit.
Yeah, that's true.
He remembered the details.
Also, Adam, I briefly forgot those jokes in your set, and I'm like, starting to side with this guy.
He does work for ones. It was 15 minutes. I had to pull some stuff out.
I had to go to the old bag of tricks.
I mean, this guy does work for an education nonprofit. He might be right.
He might be a bit sensitive.
I will say this is where I kind of like it. And killing himself, so he also doesn't like that I'm down on myself. He's like, come on, Adam.
Nice.
Thank you, buddy.
Because that's a solution to his problem is you killing yourself.
Yeah, we're beyond atrocious, especially at a time of a nationwide mental crisis for youth and youth suicide being the second leading cause of death for kids. Not true at all.
Well, also,
the second leading cause of death for kids is me.
We're trying to
Did you listen to my material? You fucking idiot, pay attention.
I eat kids and they taste good.
Also, like this whole, whenever you're claiming the mental illness high road, so you're like, so fire and tear into this guy so he goes back and kills himself. Because we know how stable comedians are.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. Like, I kind of understand where the guy's coming from because my set can be a lot, even when I'm doing well. So to hear it when it's complete silence.
My favorite sets of yours are when you go so hard and bury yourself. And then you like... just a little bit of likability. That's what I was thinking of. And you'd win them back hard. Yeah. And those are my fucking favorite, dude. Because it, not to be comedy nerdy again, but I used to do this when I was like in my early 20s. And if you saw some of the pictures of me or sets, they are so cringy, like me lying on stage smoking a cigarette, like just awful.
Whoa, that's you?
That's so edgy.
That's badass.
And it becomes addicting to bomb if you are in that sort of like edgy group of like the audience always fucking sucks, they can't handle my truth or my realness. So because like bombing becomes,
I see what you're saying, but sometimes they just can't. Sometimes what I bring to the table is some pretty badass like blade shit.
Have you like seen me smoking a cigarette with a leather jacket?
It's pretty fucking good.
It's like pretty much like all of us were trying to be what is now like a Ricky Gervais tour poster. Yeah. And it was so insufferable, but you become addicted to just being like bombing almost became the victory because you would see David Tell rip into someone and bomb at the Comedy Cellar. And that's amazing. Forgetting that. Yeah. Well, yeah, but Tell is also one of the best comedians in the world and is crushing every night. You just saw him unload onto some lady. So then like all of these middle ground comics like us, we would get on stage, our first joke would bomb and suddenly we're like, oh, fuck you. You can't handle this.
Well, I think my mindset is kind of like that when I do have sets like that, but it's more like I purposely put these sets together and the jokes I put into the sets, I'm like, it has to be satirical enough and funny enough to the point where it's not just blatant like hate, like fucked a retarded baby up against the wall, and it felt awesome.
Did you write that down?
Huh? No, I'm gonna punch it up before I bring it up.
Punch it up. Punch it up is so good.
His punch up is I fucked a black retarded baby against the wall.
Now we're cooking.
What really puts me in like the mindset where I am like, okay, fuck you guys, here we go, is when I'll do a joke like that, one that I know has done like really well before, and I know it's like not a super offensive
and
joke.
they're like trying to be.
And that's the one where they're like, ugh. And I'm like, all right, you guys want to see some real cool shit? You guys think that's offensive? Wait till I just go off the cuff and start giving you raw organic thoughts. You guys are going to love it. Chris has seen it, because I was doing this one about the Black Little Mermaid.
Oh, I've seen all of this stuff.
Yeah, the Black Little Mermaid joke, which I've stopped doing now just because it's not relevant anymore. But it wasn't that racist.
I love
Black
that you probably
people
got
really liked it.
So excited that there was like a 1 week like revival when they put it on Disney Plus. You were like, I'm bringing it back, baby.
Oh, Daddy brought it back. I've also seen the movie 4 times. And I thought it was great.
Sure.
I really liked it.
I've never seen that joke do bad, and not to be like the 80s comic view like cameraman who pans to the black person when the white guy tells a racist joke. But I saw like black people loved it.
Universal black people always loved it. So it was an
when you hit Lil, anyone who wasn't sold was sold.
Yeah. So if it was an all white crowd and they pulled back on it, I'd be like, oh, so you guys think that's offensive? Cool. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, because that's like pretend ally. We're going to be outraged. Yeah. It's like, you don't even mean this. Half of you want to laugh, but you don't want your date to get upset.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in Austin because there's a lot of black people here, but they don't come to the comedy shows.
No.
It's very rare you see a majority. I'll say one of the only shows we ever did, and I'm not saying this is weird because black people are super smart, but was at an art gallery. It was an all black crowd, and none of us could reference that it was weird that it's an art gallery, it's an all black crowd. We all just had to be like, yeah, of course you guys like art.
Yeah,
like,
this is what you do on Friday nights.
This is totally fine.
This is how I thought black people operated.
It was an all black lineup except for me and Chris.
Okay.
All black crowd and like a really like nice little art gallery.
Sure.
And when you get an art gallery show, you assume it's going to be dog shit.
Well, it's not that you assume it's going to be white. You assume it's going to be the worst type of white people.
Shitty type
just
of people.
the red wine drunk fucking we're going out to see humor.
And then it's all black people and they're awesome. It's like the last thing we fucking expected.
Did you guys hijack this art gallery and the real audience is like tied up in the back?
You guys trying to steal this art?
You guys are cool as shit. Yeah, and then we just walked in with a microphone and everyone was like, sit down quick.
You guys know this isn't a 7-Eleven, right? Why are you trying to rob it?
They just have a 40. I like these doodles. These are good noodles.
That's introspective as a motherfucker. The shading this bitch used to reference the economy in China is fucking specific.
This guy's the Andy Warhol of stand-up because he's abstract. That was good.
And then I'll say
that
again.
That was a really fun show.
Another art gallery show I did for Don't Tell Comedy, which those crowds can also. Have you ever done any of those?
I did one in Cedar Park, and it was like half.
Mm-hmm.
It was packed. It was great. The people who run the shows were great.
Oh, the best. They put on amazing shows. What they managed to do is very impressive.
It's so impressive. And it was like, I feel like half good comedy audience, half this could go wrong, but only because it was in the suburbs, because when you're doing shows outside of a comedy club and it's pitched as like comedy night, but usually it's like skee ball or whatever, you never know who's going to show up.
Absolutely.
Or what they think stand-up comedy is.
But theirs are like secret shows and everyone who goes to them kind of feels like special.
Which
to
is
even
smart.
Get to be involved in it.
Yeah.
And it'll be in like the back of a gallery. I did one at a rundown bank in front of a vault.
That's cool.
That was cool. We did one at a class where they teach strippers how to strip.
Okay.
There was a pole right
just
there
like
and
really
everything.
bad
And
strippers.
I touched it and it was real damp. And I was just like, I had to like play it off. I was like, haha, that was funny. Fuck.
Well, it's been my time. You just run out.
I have 15 more minutes until I can wash my hands. I just have to sit here and do my set right now.
Why was it damp?
It was damp.
Jeez,
I did follow Leah Sampson and she just stood by it. So She's cool. I like Leah a lot.
I don't know her. I was just pausing to see if you're surprising me with another name that killed themselves and you're waiting for me to laugh.
No, Leah's actually a Austin comic who's blowing up right now.
That's cool.
She's blown up on like social media. I think she did some kind of Netflix thing, and then Bill Burr got her to open for him at like Madison Square Garden.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So she's cool.
That's great.
Yeah. But she does make poles wet.
Sure.
Because she got a pussy. She got a big old pussy though.
It's just a sweat of male comics knowing she's touched Bill Burr.
Can I smell your hands? Do they smell like a guy with a black wife? That's so badass. That's what I respect.
I bet
for.
she goes to art galleries. Know what I mean?
I will say this comic I'm talking about, I like her a lot. We've always gotten along really well. But one time she was like, I got this jazz club show I'd love for you to do. And I was like, oh, is it a black room? And she was like, why would it be a black room? I'm like, because it's a fucking jazz club. Like implying like, oh, because I'm black, it's going to be a black room. I'm like, no, because it's a goddamn jazz club.
Yeah, to be clear, jazz and hip hop are far superior than the music that white people listen to.
Oh, yeah.
This is a compliment. If someone invites me to a jazz club and I see white people, I'm like, this is a shitty jazz club.
Also, I've done comedy at jazz clubs before, and it's always a lot of very well-dressed black people.
Yeah,
and it rocks.
Very well dressed. Everyone smells incredible.
Oh, yeah. Everyone looks like they're going to a really cool church afterwards where they have great food and dancing.
Yes.
I missed the black shows back up in Tacoma, though.
Yeah, because
there's not a lot of them here.
We came up, it was like 50-50. So it was like, but the nice thing about it was the white crowds were like mostly blue collar, like, because Tacoma's like a real blue collar type of town, and then also like very black.
That's cool.
And it used to be like a lot of gangs and shit, but it's cleaned up a lot. But it's still like a lot of different types of people. There is like some of the artsy type kids, but that's a rarity there.
Yeah.
And if you get one in the crowd that gets pissed and like heckles you about it, everyone else doesn't feel that way. And then it's the best set in the world.
They're like, go back to Seattle.
Everyone's against her.
That's
great. It's like, you better shut that mouth before I rape it. Everyone's like, yeah.
Do another one. Do another.
He said rape and it was good. It was really good. We love it.
What was how did that guy end his fucking thing?
Oh, yeah. So the last thing he said was, you needed to say something, man. WTF.
That was it.
Huh?
What a coward.
That was all he said.
Yeah.
Did
David Melter also, if you guys want to message him.
Why did this promote? Not that I need to be burning bridges with promoters, but why was this guy like, I know what'll make Adam happy, and why did he send this to you?
Because he's a good friend of ours.
So it was just like, look at this bullshit.
I consider Spencer like a buddy.
Oh, okay, got it.
I assume, I don't know what his intentions were. It's more like, dude, this is nuts. He wasn't mad.
Oh, good.
He didn't say anything like, why'd you do this to the guy? No, it was straight up just like,
why'd you traumatize one of Austin's finest educators?
Yeah, one of the coolest guys that organized January 6th.
What an insane.
We YouTubed this guy.
Yeah, he's basically like, he said, this motherfucker keeps following me and unfollowing me to get me to reply.
Oh my God.
He said he's very disappointed in both of us.
This is why I'm going to homeschool if I ever have kids. It's like, this is the people who are educating our children?
The reason I think why this is also part of this is because, or why he messaged it to me, is because another show me and Chris both did for him.
Sure.
I opened it. Or no, you went before me.
I went before
Chris went before me and did Chris.
Yeah,
So
sure.
So Chris is also offensive, but it's a lot more audience interactive.
It's offensive at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's offensive when we're talking about other people?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to make it about you, but fucking your son.
Yeah.
I don't like them apples.
I'm not making you feel bad about things happening in the world. I'm making you feel bad about you.
Yeah. And we all think you're gay.
Oh, you better not have had a miscarriage sitting in the front row. I'm bringing it up.
He smells them too. They can smell it.
That's how I take my pay for shows. Just miscarriage babies.
I'll take 4 placentas, please. That'll be good for old Chris.
And I just run up like a little tree and I suck them.
Do you remember the stuff
Every
you
time
were
I see
saying?
Chris at Roscoe's Comedy Club, it's like, oh, you're doing a spot? He's like, no, I'm going through the dumpster next door at Planned Parenthood.
Also, funny enough, this was at Roscoe's.
I
knew it.
But before it was Roscoe's,
Yes.
it was the Santa Cruz Theater. Were you here for that?
No.
You must have been.
So it's called the
I
Santa
wasn't here for Roscoe's. Like, I've never been there.
Roscoe's
I
is
literally
new.
just took my girlfriend to Planned Parenthood next door, and I'm like, oh, another stupid comedy club.
Hell yeah.
But so yeah, Roscoe's is a newer club. They're not affiliated with the story at all or anything about the club when we performed at it.
Sure.
But it was called the Santa Cruz Theater. It was real, like kind of dingy.
Okay.
Like the chairs were fucked up. Like the entire stage was obviously set up for like plays and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just not a good stage for comedy. But when you got people in there, it fucking rocked.
Yeah, okay.
Like the first Lucas McCrary show I ever did, and he's like now one of the best producers in Austin. Every show he does, insane. Amazing, no matter where it is. Me and Chris did like a duo tandem thing. Like we went on stage together and just fucked with the crowd. Amazing. Like if you pack that place out, some of the best sets I've had in Austin. The first time I ever did 30 minutes, I did there.
And is this place gone?
It's still here. It's just Roscoe's now.
Oh, got it.
So it's still. I don't think I've been there since it's become Roscoe's. But so yeah, you went up. Do you remember any of the stuff you said specifically to this guy? I know you had done crowd work with him, right?
Yeah, we were just. I was just doing my usual crowd work, going really well. Then there was this like half white, half Asian guy.
Yep.
I'm like, are you mixed? And he's like, I'm half white. And I'm like, let me guess. Yeah, are you gook, chink, yellow, zipperhead? Yep. I'm just going through all the racial.
I thought you were going to attack mad. I thought you were going to attack the white half. But it's curveball.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I just started naming off all the Asian racial slurs. Sure. I ended it with chink. His white girlfriend was dying.
She loved it.
Everyone liked it.
Well, because she's just fetishizing him quietly. And it's just like, oh, finally, we're saying this out loud. I just call him this when we're fucking.
Hard.
No one. He's the only one that looked upset.
Sure.
Everyone's the vibe of the room was very comedic.
Yeah.
Very much so. So everything was fine.
Mm-hmm. Weird that everyone laughing at him didn't cheer him up.
Yeah.
You're like, it's so odd. Everyone else was hysterical, including his girlfriend.
What a fucking zipperhead, am I right? That'll be the clip. It's Jamie laughing at zipperhead. Someone's not Christian anymore. Yeah. Well, actually, maybe Christian. Hating Chinese people is kind of Christian.
Probably. I feel like a lot of Christian. I mean, before I became Christian, I on television said "fuck God" in his homophobic ass with like, I did this. I didn't know how. Like, I met Ron White, or I saw Ron White at the mothership. And like, I'll meet people who, hey, we did a show together. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember you. Yeah. But to me, this was like such a monumental big deal, where my first TV show I ever did, it was me, Rom White. We were on a panel. So it was me, Rom White, Kathleen Madigan, and Lewis Black.
It was Green Room.
Oh, wow. It was a Green Room, yeah. And I go, oh man, you were on my first TV set. And he's like, I don't. And I was like, we did a TV show together. He's like, I do a lot of shows. I'm like, no, but a TV show. And he's like,
together.
And then I was like, nice to meet you. And he's like, all right. And I was like, bye. I was just so fucking just deflated.
I've met Ron White about 13 times. We met at Skankfest and he was like, hey, Adam? I was like, yeah, Adam. He's like, it's nice to meet you. I was like, yeah, I've met you a couple times before. He's like, yeah. I'm like 13 times to be exact. I work where you are almost every day. But it's also like, how can you get mad at Ron White?
You can't at all.
Like, he's a fucking legend.
To be clear, I was only mad at myself.
But it still hurts.
Oh yeah,
it hurts you, even though you know, obviously, why would he remember us?
So brutal.
I mean, you did a TV show with him. That's a little better than just...
I thought that would be a little bit more, and it was not. But
did you go tater salad?
That got him. He's like, I remember you.
By the way, tater salad.
What if it was the opposite? And every time you do say it, he lights up and he's like,
oh yeah, you know
that's my bit.
You know tater
gives
salad.
Gives you a big hug.
I've heard about it. I've heard about tater salad.
But yeah, man, I stand by like a lot of the stuff I said about religion. Like, in no way has this made my life like easier by any means. And because it's not like, I can't be a Christian comic. I tried to just...
Well, I do want to talk about that, definitely. Yeah. That'd be a really good thing to end the podcast on, but we'll just fire off for a racist Asian story. We'll finish that, and then that'll be a good way to segue back into Christianity.
Okay, love for God.
Hatred from Asians to love for God. It goes side by side.
Anyways, so... I said that wasn't even the end of my set. I continued doing crowd work. It was going fun. Everyone was having a great time.
Sure.
And then I got off, and then Adam came, and somehow
I went up,
escalated,
and everything was fine. It wasn't that bad. Sure. But then I did a joke where I said they called me the pussy crusher in high school. I was like, I didn't fuck a lot of chicks. I just used to stomp cats to death.
Yeah.
And he rolled his eyes. It's like, why are you rolling your eyes? Because I wasted a perfectly edible cat.
I was gonna say it so much poorly. Like, that was such great phrasing. Jesus.
He was just like. He was like, "Oh, you with the fucking Asian shit too?" And I was like, "Yeah, but just if you want me to stop, then stop being Asian. Like, I don't know what you want me to do."
What would be so funny is if the third comic came up and was like not racist at all and was like, "Hey, where are my Asians at?" And he's like, "That's it, fuck you!" Shoots up fucking Roscoe's.
They didn't even know. Yeah. So then I finished the set. He left. He walked out.
He tried to leave.
Oh, he tried to leave. He couldn't find the exit. And I was like, I thought you people were good at reading. Like,
He's just walking back
he
and
walked
forth.
the wrong way. Then he went this way. Then he went back up.
Because he's like dead in the first row, too.
I thought you were going to make a joke about because it was just because his tiny eyes. He just couldn't see and kept bumping into walls.
He's got widescreen vision. It's not his fault. And so then we leave and he's parked next to me. Right next to me, and he's waiting for us in the parking lot.
No.
And I will say,
did you have to pretend it wasn't your car?
Yeah. No, I walked right up to him. He came at us fairly respectfully.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Can I?" And this has always been my mindset. If I say anything that pisses you off in a set, and you want to come talk to me afterwards, I'm fully cool with that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, as long as you weren't being super disruptive and a pussy during my set.
Yeah.
Like there's been women that are super cunty. I get in a huge back and forth with them. Then they want to talk about it after the show.
Hey, I have something to say. And you're like, nothing's getting accomplished.
And I'm like, we could have talked about it had you not been such a dumb bitch. Now I hate you. And no, I'm not going to waste any time talking because I think you're stupid.
I remember you told me we were texting because me and you both live kind of in the suburbs. And you were like, I was telling my girlfriend this yesterday. You were like, yeah, it's kind of nice, like getting away from like where you do comedy. I'm like, because we get recognized. And you're like, well, one time I was walking with my daughter and this girl was like, that's the guy who thinks rape is funny. I'm like, yeah, it's probably good to move like
and
a half an hour outside
like,
of town.
Daddy, what's rape? And
you're like, the funny thing.
Something that's super funny. Something that's real cool. You'll find out one day.
Oh my God, Jesus.
So he's there. We start talking to him. We're both very much so like, we totally understand that you're offended, but our whole mindset is that we make fun of everything. Like anything that's thrown at us on the table, out of anywhere.
It's like, that's a good thing for him to hear as well.
Yeah.
Just to not be like, hey, dude, we don't fucking hate Asian people.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's nothing against you.
We're not liars. We're not going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I hate like North Koreans. We all hate North Koreans.
I actually don't like those South Koreans. I like the North.
Love the North because they give it to the South.
They get it. They get it up there. But yeah, we're just trying to explain to him. And then I said a couple things that made him real mad because I was like, I got to say that your white half is where the sensitivity comes from.
Yeah.
I was like, that's all I'm telling you. Like, I know you're mad and you think it's because I'm being racist towards the Asian guy, but it's really your white half.
Your white half is trying to be a pretend ally to your other half right now.
Because it's so much the fucking half breeds.
I will Adam saying this and his girlfriend's kind of laughing.
No, we were
him.
cracking the girlfriend up. And then a couple of times I'd say something, she'd be like,
yeah,
sure.
Like, this guy's kind of being an idiot.
Yeah.
But I've just noticed in a lot of my life is that people who are mixed race, they have this like need to defend so much like racism stuff because they themselves are kind of having an identity crisis.
Well,
and I get that.
That's what I was going to say, to defend them, where it's like...
No, I'm not saying I understand where the guy's coming from because it's like he has this pressure to stand up for Asian people.
Well, it's also like...
And then also Asian people probably don't accept him as much as he would like.
You're too white for the Asian people. You're too Asian for the white people.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking brutal. And I never thought about that, where it's going to put them more... I mean, dude, in one of the most embarrassing... I mean, I remember I did a show. This was like after all of my like, I mean, it was fucking fascinating. I did a show. Paul Provenza, the guy who hosted the Green Room, he sometimes does these like backyard versions of the Green Room, and it was like me, Kira Sultanovich, I think is how you say her last name, and that guy Ben Glebe. Do you know him? He like tried to run for president, and like he's just he blew up just being like a Donald Trump's orange kind of guy, you know.
Badass.
and was always really nice to me. We like followed each other on Twitter or whatever. And the audience, it was fascinating because it was this sort of what you would expect at an art gallery. It was like that audience. It was like some industry. It was like kind of well-to-do people. Everyone was like drinking wine and very liberal. There was like one black woman in the audience and this one like Pacific Islander Asian-y looking dude up front. And I do my set and I'm having like, and I'm doing like my edgy shit. And I'm having one of the best sets of my life. I feel so fucking good. And that guy Ben Glebe was hosting it, and he keeps like giving me the thing. And I know Paul told me I could do longer, and so I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. And then he got up on stage and he made some joke about like running the light or like going too long, and everyone was kind of like, all right, like whatever. And so then we go to do this panel, and he's like the big liberal guy, and I make some point about being Hawaiian, and he just starts like ripping into Hawaiians, and but like in the least funny way possible. And I realized I got so outraged, and up until this moment I thought it was righteous, but it's totally because of what you were talking about. Like he was making the dumbest jokes where he was going pigeon, they speak pigeon, what? And he started cooing. And I was just like, I'll fucking fight you, you pretend liberal.
I'm not a pigeon.
Bro,
I'm not a fucking pigeon. I'm a man. I have legs.
I'm a man. I don't fly.
I don't have tiny little claw
I
legs.
have real arms. Real boy arms.
I don't eat fries off the ground.
I'm a pigeon.
I am a fucking pigeon.
It was so crazy, dude. And then like when you talk about like political dynamics and white people, everyone is so full of shit. So one, I told that story just to be like, oh, fuck, I just realized I did that because I have such imposter syndrome about being Hawaiian because I look like the people who fucking colonized and destroyed Hawaii.
Because you are, but
because you are actually part Hawaiian.
Yeah, like if Hawaiian seceded and became a kingdom again, our lineage, like we could live there.
You fucking pineapple spick.
I love that like your knowledge of Hawaii is so little, you're like, I just gotta tack on a different you Hawaiian N-word.
Well, because I'm half Mexican and I was born there. So
good.
Fucking stinky
you're
people.
You're a fucking spam masubi chink.
To be fair, funnier would be spam chink musubi.
Yeah, that's good. But they're both very offensive.
They're both very good though. But even the dynamics in that audience, I remember like I got like super fucking serious and earnest where I was like, hey dude, you're like acting like this fucking liberal guy, but like I don't know if you know what we did to Hawaiian people, but Americans came, we overthrew them, they're still fucked this day, blah blah blah. And he just goes like, I don't think the audience wants to hear this.
That's
and
right.
Then this one woman goes, I do, and he goes, who said that? And she goes, the one black woman here.
Whoa.
And he was like, liberal short circuit, I don't know what to do. But then what was fucking even more fascinating is she came up to me afterwards and she goes, I didn't want to like you because I heard you'd been on Rogan. And so it's like everyone is full of shit.
But he didn't like me either.
Yeah, so don't worry. He did in the third episode a little, but I haven't really talked to him since.
The trilogy.
But like, it's just everyone's full of it. Yeah. Everyone is just doing what they think they're supposed to do. I'm so guilty of this when in reality, it's like comedy should be the most, as long as it's good, right? It should be the place where it's like, we're not thinking about that. Yeah. It should be the only place where we like go and we're like, we're not thinking about who's going to think what about this. And like, it should just be like, we are laughing.
We're here to be funny. And and I understand how some people have trouble understanding that.
Yeah.
Because everyone's selfish.
Comedy's become so politicized.
And everyone's insecure. Everyone's selfish. Everyone's going to take something someone says and make it about them. And it doesn't feel good. Like if someone says something offensive about the type of people you are, it feels like it's directed at you. It's not. It's just, we're fucking idiots. We're clowns. And we got to say things that make people pay attention and laugh.
Well, the mentality
and it helps
of that
sometimes when it's something really dark and depressing. Because we should laugh at that stuff.
Look, I've said
if we just started laughing at Black Israelites, they would be the best comedians of all time.
The best.
The Jews smell like fish.
Not to like end earnestly. Well, I'll go spam chink out, and then that'll be my new stage moniker.
Yeah, it's good.
But like the reason we got into comedy, it's not because I had a good life at all. Like when people are like, "Why'd you become a comedian?" I'm never like, "Oh, I remember, being a kid and my dad would play Richard Pryor on the record player." It was like, no, my mom was getting drug away in an ambulance, and me and my brothers would be upstairs, and the first one who could make like an alcoholic joke or who could make like a really dark fucking joke, we would laugh so hard. And once we could laugh about the issue, the ice was broken. So then we could go like, do something about it. You know, like even when I used to do interviews and people would be like, so were you the class clown? And I was always like, the class clown would beat the fuck out of me. It wasn't the class clown was usually a hack. They were just like, they'd just be loud.
Class clown.
Fucking racist hack.
So I was just going to do one more how the story ended with the Asian guy. Because it's one of my favorite things I've ever said. And it's really, I mean.
So is it still in the parking lot?
This is in the parking lot. Chris has never heard me laugh this hard, I think.
This guy is also kind of getting a little angry and emotional.
And then also, I'll throw this in real quick.
Yeah.
Our friend James Dagger, who I love this guy. Very intense dude, though.
Sure.
Walks up and he's like, "What you don't understand is that whites have it the hardest over anyone." I was like, "Hold on."
He's awesome. He's like, we're just like, no.
I know what'll de-escalate this situation. Wrong information.
I'm not even saying it's
presented
totally wrong.
loudly in a parking garage.
But we just basically come to agreement. Like, whatever, dude, you know, I understand that you think it's offensive. We think it's funny.
Chris, did you have to earnestly say, I don't think you're a zipperhead, sir?
No, I didn't. I would never go back on that.
We get in our cars.
He
starts backing out. And it's like one of those things where, like, you kind of back out. You see the guy next to you trying to back out. So you're like, you go. It's like, we go. And then I roll my window down. And I was like, you better not hit me. I know how you people are driving. And he's just like, what?
He has tears in his eyes. And his girlfriend is dying.
Oh my God. The girlfriend is like almost slamming her head against the window. Yeah. And she's like, fuck.
And Adam
the
laughed
best.
1,000 crows cawing.
And the most so loud. I couldn't breathe.
Holy shit.
And then the absolute beautiful exclamation point on the end of the story is I went home to my apartment complex and he's there dropping off his girlfriend.
Shut the fuck up.
Across the way from where I live.
Were you like, Carrie, I have bad news. I got to finish this bit and I got to fuck this Asian guy's girlfriend.
I don't love it, but it's
I'm just doing another set and Adam calls me and he's like, he's here. He's here. Just screaming.
Holy fuck.
That was one of our favorite moments in comedy.
One of the best.
That's incredible.
And then he did get into a really bad car accident. Probably not, but probably.
Maybe.
All right, that was fucking
that was so good.
Thank
Jamie,
you guys. I love you guys so much.
Is there anything coming up you're doing that you want to plug? Or?
I'm going to start getting back to stand up. Can you book me for the Filthy Show on Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, of course.
So I'll post all that, and I do sketches and like rant things on Instagram at the Jamie Kilstein. That's it. Follow me on Instagram at the Jamie Kilstein.
And real quick, I guess we should probably do this on every episode because people are starting to listen now. Every Saturday at the Creek in the Cave, we do the Filthy Show live show, which is just a lot of the comics you see here, a lot of big comics dropping.
It's one of the best. I mean, even if you don't like me, I've done stand up for fucking 20 years and traveled the world. It's one of the most consistently just good shows.
Thank you. Our crowd fucking rocks.
They rule. And like I'm very specifically wanted to make that show my first show back in a couple months. So it's one of the best shows in the world.
Every Saturday at 11 p.m.
Yeah, check us out. All right. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you guys. Love you.